housing market. Get the latest insights right here.
Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
And I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker.
First of all, I want to say congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers as an alumni myself. That was really good.
And as a Purdue person, I still want to say that. Congratulations. That was awesome.
I feel like everybody, I do feel like in our state, everybody does. Like, I root for Purdue basketball when IU's not in and all that stuff, or Notre Dame or whatever. I think our state's really kind of neat
Notre
like
Dame's
that.
not playing anymore, so.
They are not. But anyways, today we have Scott Hofer on. And I'll let him introduce himself and all that other stuff. But Scott is a stager and has a staging company. I'll let him explain all of that. But I personally use him.
I personally use him.
Shelly uses him as well. For me, I think I got introduced to you around 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And I actually, Kelly Huff, who I adore, she actually gave me your contact information. Because that's who she uses as well. I think she's fine with me saying that. And I just really liked the way she presented houses. And when she told me that was that you had done all the staging, I've just used you ever since.
Thank you.
Staging itself is a whole nother conversation I want to get into, like after we kind of like let you introduce yourself and like how you got here and all of those things.
My name is Scott Hofer. I taught middle school art for 23 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Where at?
Over in Brownsburg.
Okay.
And I built my staging business on the back part of that. I took a class one summer up in Minneapolis from the lady who said that she kind of invented the concept of staging. I had wanted to go up to Minneapolis anyway because they have great art and a sculpture garden, and I thought, well, I'm going to take this staging class. And so I did, and then I got hooked.
So when do you think staging started? If she said that, what was
I believe she said she thought she was doing it like in the 70s. She was trying to explain to her people why it was important to present their house. And she's like, your house is like the stage, and you need to have furnishings because you're putting on a production for people. And
I love it. It's like a theater set.
Yeah, almost like a theater set.
Yeah, because it could be Old Town. Isn't it our town, which is completely empty, and you have to think about it all by yourself. This is a great analogy. I love it. Because the play Our Town is literally, they just stand on stage and there's no set. So you have to completely imagine, whereas staging lets the imagination come from the staging, and you are so good at it.
Thank you.
I think I actually used to stage my houses.
Me too.
Yeah, and like that's a whole nother thing about agent staging, and like I'll just jump into that real quick. I think there are agents who stage homes, and there's a couple that I think are amazing at it, right? But it's like anything else, like there are agents who take photos of their houses. Not everybody's a photographer though, right? Yep. And so like I just think there's a skill set specifically around staging, and just because you have furniture or like I like cute things doesn't mean you're a good stager, right? Like you have to understand the totality of the concept of what you're trying to present. And so what I did early on is we had clients who would donate furniture to us because they didn't want to have to do anything with it or whatever. And we're like, this is a really nice piece of furniture. Like, we'd hate to like not use it. So I had a storage unit, and it was a nightmare. Like, as we grew, like for us to stage is a whole process. I'd have to rent a U-Haul. Then I would have to get manpower around it, right? Like all of these things that you have figured out because I've seen you guys do it. Like you guys are a well-oiled machine. And just the carrying cost plus... honestly, like what I thought I was saving, I was also burning with logistics, time and just the carrying costs of the storage unit. And then the storage unit gets full. And then it was just ended up being a nightmare. I think I did it for 2 years.
Is then it goes out of, because I had an actual staging company and I started staging as well. But as a realtor, I wasn't busy yet. So I did it, in the beginning stage. But you have to rotate because what's in today is not in next week or next year. And so, like you said, our staging, I still have all of my staging stuff in a garage that I need to sell, but at some point it's just going to go to Goodwill because some
It's
of it's
dated,
still good.
yeah.
But so you have to worry about that too, a constant
Yeah,
turnover.
my business partner, he's like, "Why are you still buying stuff?" And I said, "Because you can't keep putting the same stuff out there because it's going to be dated at a certain point."
Your house looked like my listing, right? Oh, Susie's house looks just like the one, Yeah, so they all have character. But your art background must be really helpful. With no wonder you've got such an eye for staging.
Yeah, I studied art also in New York back in 1990. I was interested in art history, and they had a program out there that was all based upon visiting artists, and I did an internship at the Whitney Museum, and it was just total immersion into the art scene. The teacher, she knew lots of artists. We were going into artist studios and homes, and
Fun.
it was an incredible experience. I got to see a lot of stuff that way.
So you got started in staging from that class? What made you even think about that?
No, I was living down in Greenwood, and the lady that lived across the street had the same house that we had. And she's like, "I just love your house," but she's like, "I hate mine." And she had
Like it's the same house.
It's the same house, but it was just flipped across the street. And she had all of her furniture shoved up against the walls and a desk over in the corner. She said, "I don't even sit at that desk. I'm thinking about getting rid of it." And I would go over and watch American Idol with her. And she was like, I was sitting there one day on her sofa, and I was just looking around at her stuff, and she goes, "You want to move my furniture, don't you?" And I said, "Can
Yes.
I?" And so I started moving it out into the space, dragged the desk behind the couch so it faced the TV, turned her dining room table another direction, and her daughter came across the street one day to us, and she said, "I just got to thank you." She said, "My mom is just in love with her house now because
Wow.
of what you guys did." And
Same furniture, same room.
same furniture, same room. And she's like, "I sit at that desk and I email people and I talk to people." And she said, "You just transformed how I live."
That's
And
crazy.
we moved downtown to a condo, and there was a realtor that lived in our building, and the building had kind of some patios that were kind of tucked in, and you could see the 4th of July fireworks, but we could sit in our living room and watch it. And so we invited her to come over because they were kind of craning their neck to see the fireworks. And she come in and she goes, "Who put this all together?" And I said, "Well, I did." And she goes, "Well, you're hired." She said, "I'm doing a model downtown, and I want you to do the unit for that." And but what happened was that the housing market kind of tanked at that time, and so the building never got done. So I never got to do that. But then I started educating myself on what home staging was, and took the class. And it was interesting because they also have realtors take the class. And on the second day, you go out into a house, and a house that's fully, furniture and everything is all there. And you basically, they group you with realtors, a stager with a group of realtors, and you get assigned to a room, and then you go in and you leave what you want, and then you pull out into the hallways the stuff that you don't, and then other people can grab that. And so when these people came back home, they're like, "Well, we think our house looks pretty good." After they saw it staged, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we did this, because we never would have thought to put the stuff that we have in this kind of combination, and we think it's going to really help us sell the house."
So how long have you been doing it? So like you're talking about '08, it sounds like, right? And then the market. So like around 2010 is when you started taking a class. And
I took the class in '08. And then I was just doing.
That's when I started.
I was just doing consultations, and then I had got a Lilly scholarship, and it was like an $8,000 scholarship for teachers to explore something. And I thought, well, I want to start a studio. But when I did the artwork in the studio at the Stutz building,
I love.
I
That
also brought in furniture and staged furniture with my art, and it really helped to sell it. And I put some cards out, and I was building my staging business anyway. And somebody had picked up a card there, and the first house I staged was on Broad Ripple Avenue, and I go past that house every day.
Do you know who the agent was?
I do. I cannot remember who it was. It was a flipper. I don't know if she sold it also, but that was kind of my start. And then I had another agent see that, and she had an investor that was flipping properties through downtown, and he's like, well, I've got 5 properties that I need staged, could you do them? And so we looked at them, and actually they were going to stage like 2 or 3. So we headed towards IKEA in Chicago, because it was, that stuff's affordable, and that's what you kind of start with when you start building your business. And on the way up there, he's like, no, I want you to do 5 houses. So we bought even more stuff, came back, and we just did those 5 houses, and then we kind of grew from there.
Well, you talking about staging for flips. People who are going to go through the entire process of rehabbing that home to make it look beautiful, I guess that's what they're trying to do, and to not stage it, it's like you didn't finish the job, in my opinion, because you need to just showcase the house in every way, and that would be staging as well.
I think good flippers do it. Experienced flippers do it. They understand. So, I mean, for me, like, I don't flip, obviously, but the reason I do it in vacant homes, obviously, for a variety of reasons. So a vacant home shows small, right? It just does. And there's no emotion into it. Like
So cold.
Yeah, it's just clinical. And, when people buy a house, it's based off of emotion. It just is, right? And you got to be able to provide imagery for people to picture themselves there, right? And to show off a space, right? And so I think to me, it's a no-brainer. And so during COVID was probably slightly frustrating for you, because houses were selling quick enough that I started to see people do it less and less. Ironically, so like for me, we would catch some grief, because during COVID was, I was probably like, I don't know. I mean, I've been doing this 8.5 years now. I was probably 3 years in the business. And so like I had learned under a different market, and everybody was like, you don't need to do it this way right now because it's a certain thing. And I was very staunch with my team that we will not change because of the market. We will keep doing everything the way we do, because at some point the market will shift, and we need to be in a routine of how we do houses with everything we do. And so we still staged during COVID, all of that stuff. And now we're in a situation where houses are sitting again, and it's super needed.
Yeah.
And people, I feel like, are just now probably, I mean, I'm curious what your thoughts are, because the market kind of tanked in May. And if people are starting to stage again, if you're getting the phone calls, or like if it never super died. I mean, I know you have the people like me, Shelly, Kelly, you talked about Stevie Clifton, who I love, the Somerville team, like a bunch of Mark Branch. Like there's a lot of big hitters out there that, I mean, they're just pros, so that it's always just part of the service they provide. But have you seen a pickup in it lately?
Yeah, we've been very busy. It's funny because realtors will be like, "Oh, things have slowed down," and I'm like, but they haven't really for us. They've actually picked up a little bit, because November and December can be slow because of the holidays. But like, I had to send Mark out this morning to look at 3 houses. Mm-hmm. And then while I'm sitting here for this to start, I had another realtor say, oh, hey, I need you to go look at this house tomorrow. So it's we're getting
ready for the spring too, though, because I know we talk about how we are at least 8 weeks before we actually list a house. 6 to 8 weeks, we like to have at least some time. So we're gearing up for spring already. With the staging, that you made a good point. We always say that we don't know how many, but most agents have not been in this business more than 4 years. Like then we've got the
A
seasonal
lot of them
people.
started around COVID.
So they've never seen a market where a house didn't, fly off the shelf, which for the past year and a half, it's showing that we need to get back to the basics, and it's like 2019 again. But there are so many agents that don't even know why you would even say the word staging because it's never been in the wheelhouse. But if you were, that's just something you need to do. I love before and afters. And I've got some great before and afters of staging when houses they didn't sell because the agent just threw it on the market. And then I go in and stage it. And it's the perfect before and after or the perfect side by side to show why these houses need to be staged. When they're empty, they look horrible online. And we were talking about virtual staging. Those buyers need to walk in the front door and feel that warmth. Virtual staging isn't going to do it for you.
It gets them there, but it falls flat when you're there,
Right.
I think, right?
Yeah, it's about you got to create an emotional connection to the space because people are probably in a house. They're looking at several houses, probably in and out of a house in 10 or 11 minutes. And
How do you get them to stay? How do you get them to feel
yeah,
at home?
yeah, you want them to sit on the couch and get comfortable. And we had another realtor, like you said, it makes things look bigger. We asked her, we said, well, yeah, a lot of realtors will have us stage at least the primary, but then we also do, we can do the other bedrooms too. And he said, why do you always have us do the other bedrooms? And she says, well, because it makes it look bigger. So there's several realtors that we stage the whole
house.
The whole house.
Well, what it gets back to is you're saying you can sit on the couch. I don't know how many buyers, first of all, they walk into a house that has a red room and I won't buy it because I can't, it needs painted. Yeah, it just needs painted. But there's also buyers, I would say 75% of buyers can't picture anything. So they walk into the front door and they're like, well, I don't even have a clue. Where would the couch go?
I'm that guy. I'm really good at like problem solving, and like if we needed to do some kind of construction project, I can for sure be like, all right, I need to do this, this, and this. It's going to look like this. If my wife comes in and is like, hey, I want to move the couch and put this like a different colored rug down here, what do you think? And I'm like, I can't picture it. Like everybody's brain kind of works differently. And so I literally can't picture when my wife is like, what do you think if we got a white couch here? And I'm like, my brain shuts down, right?
First of all, white.
Well, yeah, don't even start.
I have one.
I just think it's an art.
It is an art. It
is.
Not everybody can do it.
They cannot.
There's
Everybody
no
thinks
way.
they can.
They can't. They have to understand the whole placement. And like you said, when I go into a house, if a buyer's like, I can't figure this out, I literally have to stand there and go, here's where we're going to put the couch. Here's what we're going to do. If you've staged it, I don't have to do that. I don't have to sell where the furniture is going to go. I can now sell the house and answer questions about the house. But once we start tangenting over here to where the couch would even fit, or how's the bedroom going to fit, the agents need to understand is you've lost the buyer by not helping that. And it doesn't cost very much to help visualize. And you do an awesome job of visualizing the place.
Yeah, a lot of people and a lot of stagers think it's just decorating. And a lot of stagers have like a style that they kind of force in everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can't do that because not all houses are equal. I mean, you have mid-century, you have...
And we must say you do mid-century very well.
Thank you.
And not everybody could do mid-century. That's a very hard one. And then you have to have the product.
Yeah.
There are, to your point, like I do think, like I hadn't thought about that. Some people are like, I like blues and yellows. So like every time they stage, it's like blue and yellow or industrial looking or something. I mean, like I said, I do see some agents out there. I know there's a bunch that do it. There's one agent that I know of that I think does a good job with it. Sarah Dinnig, I see her post her stuff, and like she does, like she looks at the space or whatever, and she does a really, really good job. Like my brain doesn't work like that, and so like shout out to her for doing that stuff. But like when you do ours, like I'm sure you have agents who are like, I want to do this, this, and this. Like I just call you.
I do too, and I
I'm
walk
just like,
back
"Yo,
in
do
with the
this."
photographer later,
dude,
and
yeah.
you just know it's going to be fine. I can't imagine. Do you have agents that just stand around and watch you?
Oh,
there are some people that
I couldn't imagine.
will,
Because it's hard for you to keep.
when we haven't worked with them, will kind of come around and I just keep working.
Yeah.
I just keep working.
Why are you doing that? Wouldn't that look better over here? I could imagine.
Kelly Huff always says, I know I don't need to babysit you. She says, just go do your thing.
I know.
Yeah, same.
I know. I just show up with a photographer, and that's,
Well, I don't want to
You're
show
going
up.
to be shooting pictures in
I'd
about
be
5
afraid
minutes.
you'd
So.
like make me carry something. Like, hey, can you move this
While
couch
you're
over
here,
here?
get to work.
Well, there's a realtor that told us at the last minute that a house needed to be destaged, and I said, "Hey, we'll be there at 7:00 tonight, and make sure you wear comfortable shoes." and she was there to
Yeah.
help.
Awesome to come
Yeah,
out.
to get the fire put out. We did something back in the day when I was very early on in the staging group I was using. Like I said, I had staging I was doing, but this whole house needed done. And I did a video, and this is where I get to, you have to know what you're doing, and it's not as easy as people think. They were just so funny about placing the rug. And I finally said, stop just a minute. And this is before you were doing videos and had to do all this TikTok stuff. But it took them 20 minutes to place that rug because it just didn't like how it was looking. They'd move the couch. Should it be 2 inches under the
That'd be
feet of the
me.
couch? And that was my first inclination that there's a method to your madness.
Yes.
That rug was placed exactly where it was placed for a reason. That plant was placed. I mean, you have an idea of why you're doing it, not just throwing stuff in the room.
I think when you get phone calls, because I'm sure you get a lot of phone calls for quotes, but I'm sure the people who use you or whatever, but people don't understand the cost of something like this. And I'm sure people are like, oh, that's too expensive or whatever, which for me, like somebody who has like looked around and all this other stuff, like I think you guys are like beyond perfect for like return on investment. Just so you know, like I think your pricing.
What's
is
the new
perfect.
stats on that? Because there used to be stats you get 5% more, or you sell 5% quicker. I mean, I don't know what the stats are today, but there's definitely stats.
They say that your return on investment could be 3 to 10 times what you put into it.
Sells quicker too.
Days on market always makes you more money.
Yeah, I just think for like when, I realized very early it wasn't about whether something was expensive or not expensive. It was about whether I was cheap or not. Like what was I willing to provide as a service within my business, if that makes sense. And like a lot of the agents that we've kind of referenced and stuff like that, like they're professionals, you know what I mean? Like they provide a service and like it's part of the cost of doing business with them, and they just understand it. Even the way you do your carrying costs, if it doesn't sell within a certain time, is like the most beneficial I've ever seen by a long shot. I've got him getting ready to de-stage one, and I'm going to figure out if I, when we relist it, I'm going to be like, try to keep track of what we have, and hopefully it's not in a different house because it could be in a different house come March, right?
Yeah.
So
I always wondered, is destage a word? Because it's a word that we all say, but it's just kind of a weird word that I always wonder. I'm like, is that even really
it's
a
like
word?
when you type it out into like Word or something, it always puts a little red squiggly underneath of
There's
it.
no such thing as destage.
no,
but
I think
we
it's
know
just
what it
called
means.
remove.
I know. We have another word for it, but what is your favorite house you've ever done? And why?
I like things that are more contemporary, but that doesn't mean that I can't do things that are more rustic. I love mid-century, modern. We've done a lot of those for Kelly Huff. But there was a condo down on Cleveland Street that we did, and it was just really grand what they did. I mean, when you went in, the floating staircase that went up to a landing, and then more of those chunky steps that went up to an overlook over this grand living room, and the fireplace that shot up 2 stories, and then tucked around the corner was a room that had these beautiful glass doors that opened, and they weren't just the ones with the mullions in it. I mean, it had like someone had crafted those doors. I mean, they were just beautiful. And the master bedroom then with the double doors that
grand entrance.
Swung open, and it had an elevator, and then you went up to the top deck, and there was downtown Indianapolis up there, and so you had you had 3 or 4 stories of living in that space. It was just and it was just kind of tucked away, and it was over near Mass Ave, so you had all the restaurants and the little shops, and
you're just like, I would live here type thing. You said that was Mark Branch's listing? Yeah.
So do you, when you go into a house like that, do you ever have something in the back of your head that goes, oh, what am I going to do in this house?
No, I pretty...
You pretty much know pretty quickly?
The ideas start going off, and I think about things that I have, things that are coming in, and things that I need to get. And probably in properties like that, I'll tend to invest all the staging money back into that. So, I mean, you could have quite an investment in a property like that.
What's your investment in time to get ready? Like, how long does it take you to walk into that house and then prepare what you're going to do, let alone do the staging? How long does it take you to say, here's my shopping list, and then to pull it all? I know you have to pull it all too.
Yeah, we're doing a second one, and I had to tell the people, hey, I'm going to invest that money back in, and your staging date would be dependent upon when I could get X number of things in. And so, usually about a week.
I try to give you a 2-week head notice to come check out a property.
Yeah.
Because the more notice I can get things paid, I can go out and buy the things that I don't have to make that property the way it should be.
How big's your storage unit?
We have...
He's got a warehouse.
Not even a storage one.
Yeah, we have a 10,000 square foot warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
massive.
you had a sale, I know, this summer that I got to. So every once in a while you sell your stuff that you're not using anymore. What about when a house is staged? Do you get people asking you to buy the stuff that's in the house because it looks so good?
I have one right now.
Where did you buy it? Where can we get these things? And that's been happening, I would say, recently, quite often, that people are wanting to buy everything.
So are you okay with selling it once it's in the house?
I do sometimes.
It's got to make sense.
But I kind of work 7 days a week. I'm out in the stores looking to see what's there, and I put a lot into it that sometimes I can't replace things that I found, but I'll go into some place like West Elm, and the people that do the display and stuff will come over and be like, okay, that couch over there in about 2 weeks it's gonna be, and so
they're gonna drop the price on it.
And then I even had like a former student that was in there. I was talking about teaching school, and she goes, wait a minute, I had you as my art teacher, she said, back X number of years ago. And I'm like, okay.
Where's your 3 favorite stores?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was curious.
My 3 favorite stores, I do a lot with West Elm, Crate and Barrel, and Crate and Barrel 2.
What's Crate and Barrel 2?
Yeah.
It's CB2 is, they're in the larger cities, like they're not as well spread out as, like, you can go to most major cities and there's a Crate and Barrel, but Crate and Barrel 2 stuff is more urban. That's where you get the more like sleek, more modern downtown art and accessories and so forth, because when we go to stage a house, it's not just about decorating it, but you got to target the people who are going to buy it.
Very cool.
And you have to target it with the lifestyle of the things that you're picking, have to match that lifestyle that they're going to live or could live by living in this space. And so I think a lot of people, they see the right stuff in places because a lot of people don't have the imagination, like you said, and when they see something that's right, they're like, I want all of this.
Yeah, they're like, I just want to buy this. Ours was the couch. I think they were asking me about the couch and wanted the information.
The couch, the chairs.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you're an artist. You really are a true artist that's putting together that house. And 99% of the population could not do that.
Do you ever go to like Midwest or Midland or whatever, like any like the auction places or
No.
Because just that stuff's always expensive too, you know. I was just curious because like some of your stuff's just really neat and kind of like seems like one-offish, I guess, and not mass production. So
The couch that's in your listing, I usually get those at like Consigned by Design.
yeah,
But they're not consignment pieces because they actually sell new things in there amongst and so that couch that your people want, I've got several of those because I go in there every so often and I'm like, there's another one, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it.
So consignment stores, though, your go-to.
Well, it's interesting that they do that because you get a certain buyer in there who thinks they're getting in there to get a discount or whatever, and like no, they're just buying something that's new, and they just don't realize it. That's smart. It used to be so that consigned by Design used to be out by me over by the Geist area, and then it moved off of 96th Street. It's over by like 96 and Masters now. Yeah. We used to take some stuff to there when it was over by us.
Amanda's here in Carmel has some really good stuff.
I've been in there, and then they used to have another place called Consigning Women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's gone out of business. But
yeah, Amanda's is a really good one here in Carmel. They are always packed, but she's so you can look anywhere, but you know what you're looking for, so you don't just go in with an idea. You can kind of get a generalization, and when you see it, you know it. Do you ever have anybody who says, "Come do my house for me"?
They do.
Do you
Really?
do that?
Like interior decorating?
It'd be like interior
to shop
decorating.
For you? No.
But I think when you start getting into that, it takes more time because it's a whole different concept. Because I'm making all the decisions and choices and things like that, and
you get what you get, right?
And and people like that, like a lot of that because they want to buy it. But I think when they're investing their own money, that it would take longer because people would be like, well, I kind of like this couch, but
I could see that.
You know, and I just don't have the time for it because we have too many houses out and we're in the process of either destaging or staging. We're in several houses each day.
That's a totally different profession.
Yeah.
We have one. We were just talking to you about it before. We have a custom built home that's out on the west side that we're going to list, and they had an interior decorator. It was a 2-year build process, and like when we were sitting there talking to them, like every detail was paid attention to the point of where like they found an ottoman that they liked, and then they had 2 custom paintings done that have the color of the ottoman, so then that they could be hung on the wall. Like I'm just like, I couldn't do that. Like that's just a certain personality that can do that stuff. They're doctors, so that's good. Like that's the kind of attention to detail you would want from a physician. So, how many houses do you do a year? Do you think? Have you ever tracked that?
We do between 350 to 400 houses.
Wow, that's more than one a day.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who is your team?
It's not a massive team either.
No.
There's like 5 of y'all.
Yeah.
Who's working today? You're here with us.
Yeah, my nephew, he kind of runs the daily operations and so forth for me. And he can stage also. I mean, there's been times where I wasn't able to select things, and he can pretty much pull it together because he's worked with me so much.
Your little apprentice.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you'd never get a vacation or a break.
No. And my sister, she does a lot of my accessorizing and packing, and she'll do like a lot of the bookshelves in the kitchens and the bathrooms, and
she does a good job on the kitchens, by the way.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's a family
Yeah.
team because it's kind of like you started and everybody came along. That's what my family team became. It's just like, oh.
I mean, I've had a lot of my nieces have come and worked for me like during the summer. Yeah. One of my nieces, she's now in graduate school in art, and she did my webpage for me. Sit there and did it one summer and cranked it out. And then I have a couple other people that work with me too. And those guys one of the guys has been with us probably for over 10 years.
Who does your moving?
They do.
Yeah,
All of them.
Yeah,
Everybody does.
Pretty much all
That's
of
the
it.
hard part.
I've pulled up
That's
on
the
them
hard
before,
part.
and I'm like, hey guys.
Yeah, the moving of the furniture is.
But you know what? All of the houses you've done for me over the years, I've never had one instance of damage. Not that I can think of. I really can't. You know.
I knocked on wood for you.
Yeah, I don't believe in that. But like, never. You guys have never put a hole in the wall. You never
Them. I'm
dinged the
talking about
drywall.
people who. Do you have damage on your stuff by the time you get?
Oh
it
no,
back?
I've got a story about that. But like, I've never had them damage the house. And you got to think, like, they're constantly moving stuff in and out. I did have a situation a couple years ago. We're actually doing the house behind it right now. And it was a vacant house, but the homeowner would go back on occasion, right? And so it was, like, vacant, but, like, kind of semi-vacant, I guess. And she was a smoker. And I got a phone call from Scott, and he's like, hey, man, like, somebody who's smoking is, like, getting on this couch a lot. I was like, I'm going to have to buy this dude a couch.
Well, and I think she was sleeping in one of the beds, too.
Oh God! And I didn't even know because like I was like thought this house was vacant, so she probably just would like go there and like try to tidy up and then just be like, whatever.
Well,
it's
and
my
then
house.
I think she had cats too.
Oh my goodness!
It's like my sister's really allergic to that, and so if we pull these things out and there's cat hair that we don't, you know, that could go into another house and someone
Yes.
could be allergic.
So that goes back to, do you do partial staging? Because we're talking about empty houses where you come and make it all your own, but sometimes we just need to do this room or that room. So do you do that very often?
It depends upon the circumstance. I mean,
I've had you come do it. I've been like, hey, I need 1 or 2 rooms done.
Yeah,
because it's a specific room.
Just depends though, because you have a style and what you're picturing that you have to go along with. Does this even work that's already here? Like, would you kind of say, where I'm going is, it won't make your staging look good because the rest of the house doesn't. So do you have that kind of a balance where you go, no, I can't help you because I got to do it all or nothing because of this house specifically?
Sometimes people will want to they want to lessen the cost of the staging. They'll be like, well, I think I'm going to leave my dining room table and maybe this chair over here. And what they don't realize is that they've done a lot of living on a lot of those pieces. And so when you bring in new stuff, that stuff looks even older and it's hard to mash things up. But we do rooms like maybe people have taken a living room and it was a playroom while they lived there, and they're like, well, we need some living room furniture. So we go and do that, or an office, or a spare bedroom, or there's instances where people have divorced, and the husband's like, okay, I'm going to live on the lower level. Can you stage the rest of the house? You know, there's a bedroom on the lower level. I've got a kitchenette. I've got my own sofa down here, but can you stage the rest of it?
That's so funny. You can always tell a divorced house when you walk into it. You can half the closet's gone and everything, and it does look like a mismatched house because it's just half gone.
Yeah.
I think like what you do. When I first had you come, I found out how bad I was. Does that make sense? I don't think people know until you know, and like it's just been a no-brainer ever since the very first time I used you. And I was just like, this is just, I think people, they think if they're just putting furniture in a house that's what it is, and it's just way more than that.
Yeah, it's way more than that. Staging is so important. I have a rule: if I'm going to take a listing and you're an empty house, you will stage. I will get the phone calls because you didn't stage for the next month or 2 months in this specific market because the house is cold. And the days on market that we set there cold is going to keep your price from being what it should be or what we could potentially get in, less than 30 days. Then we can go to 60 and 90 because it's not staged. And everybody says, how can you prove that? Because you've never had the house that wasn't staged that you could show that if it was staged, it would sell faster. But I've taken on listings where the agent in front of me did not, and I take it over because they can't sell it, and I stage it immediately. And so I have those experiences where I've had the exact same house on the market by somebody else, and that is going to be what we have with my new listing. Is going to show you the before and afters. And I was telling you, I love before and afters. So do you have that on your website? Like, here's what it looks like before and after? Because I think that's the only way people can see why it works, is to literally see before and after.
Yeah, like you said, we've been brought in sometimes when another realtor has had a property and maybe they couldn't convince the people then to stage it. Then they get a new agent, and then they bring us in and we stage it for them, and the house sells quickly.
I don't think agents, it's not that they didn't get the answer yes, they didn't ask it. And that's what I'm curious about, is how many agents out there actually, that's in their wheelhouse of, this house is not going into market until we're completely ready. That's why we say 6 weeks or so to get it completely ready. And one of it is you need staging. I mean, it should be right there in the number one spot almost. And it's outside too.
Yeah.
Even the yard, and like back porches, they're so important.
Well, some people are just so close to their houses that they're like, I love this.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't anybody else want
Yes,
this?
I love that.
But
Yes.
but I actually have a situation where I had a realtor. I provided a quote for a property, and then he didn't press the go button on the staging. Now there's another realtor, and he did press the go button.
That's why I take it out of their hands, and I pay for it because I'm going to do it, and I don't want to have the argument of if they're going to do it or not do it. I'm going to be like, you're bringing me in here. This is what I'm going to do to make this happen. So I don't know, man. It's all just really, really interesting. We got to jump into the stats and all of that stuff.
Any last minute thing you want to say that we didn't talk about though, or what you think agents should know? Because a lot of agents listen to the show. What you would want to tell them of your wisdom?
Just that, the staging is not decorating. That's a byproduct of what we do, but it's about targeting the people who are going to buy that property. And staging costs less than a big price reduction.
The first price reduction. That's what they say, yeah. And we can't prove that. That's what's crazy. But
that's what my experience tells me. You know what I mean? As somebody who has sold, like I have one right now that's unstaged, and I mean there's a reason for it or whatever, but versus the other ones, and like the feedback is night and day. And the one that's not staged is a nicer house. You know what I mean? And it just
they just start focusing on the cracks and the paint and the worn carpet and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that's why virtual staging doesn't work either, because you can get the people there, but then there's nothing.
Yeah.
And in the virtual staging, they show the furniture, they show all this stuff fitting in there, and it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit. I mean,
it's not dimensional. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can look at a picture and I'm like, that's virtually staged.
Yeah, it's
and
very obvious.
That's not good, because people, they get there and there's no emotional connection.
The warmth is gone the second they open that front door, and we don't need the warmth on the internet. The situation with realtors just needing to understand why it's a huge part of their wheelhouse, what they should offer. It's hard to literally put a finger on it, except for in our experience, we know it works, and it's just something you really should be doing.
Yeah, it's part of the services I provide as a professional, and I don't need to be an expert on staging. I just need to know it needs it, and then I call the expert on staging.
Correct.
That's just what I'm the resource for the resources, and I know what needs to be done. And I literally just call Scott, and I'm like, hey, I have a lot of times what I'll do is I'll be talking to you about another one, emptying it, and I'll be like, hey, I have another one in because I am a 6-week process, and I'll be like, got another one. It's going to be in Irvington. It's probably 6 to 8 weeks out. Blah blah blah. Keep it on your radar. I feel like that's how we communicate a lot, and I'm like, hey, I got another one coming up, because that's just kind of how we operate.
I can't believe you do that many in a year.
That's so many.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I mean,
that's moving every day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We just go all the time.
How many energy drinks do you do? You have a budget for your guys?
I don't touch those, and my nephew does, my business partner does, but I don't touch those things. I get adrenaline staging the house, or even sometimes I have a hard time sleeping because I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to get there to where we.
It's like Christmas for
Yeah,
you.
it's like we've got all the nice stuff dropped off, but we weren't able to set it up, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hang the artwork and to get things.
You love
in
your
there.
job.
So
I
Makes
love
me happy.
it.
We'll have you give your information out at the end. I do want to make a comment about I got a phone call this week, and I reached out to Shelly about it. And so we did a couple weeks ago. We did a podcast about home warranties, specifically about pre-listing home warranties. And there was somebody who was out there who was a consumer and called me. And one of the things that I said on the podcast was, how do I wordsmith that I'm providing a home warranty and not make it sound like I'm selling something that has a problem, right?
Like, why does it need a warranty? Why are you even doing that?
Yeah, and so he gave me all this feedback because he'd just gone through it. He was buying a property his daughter was buying a property, and he got to be involved in the process, which I think is super cool, that he got to be involved in that process with his daughter, and it was being offered out, and like they felt like it was two things in particular. Like it was good faith, right? It was skin in the game, so to speak, for the seller to be providing it. One of the things he said is like, even if it's like not a company that we necessarily would have picked, like it covers us for the first year, and then in the second year, if we wanted to pivot, we could or whatever. And that was the biggest piece that they really liked, was like this good faith skin in the game kind of piece about it that was relayed to it. And also just kind of like the idea that it was an added benefit that put them at ease as well. Not that there was something wrong with it.
What you were trying to figure out on the podcast was saying, I feel like I would be portraying the fact that there must be something wrong with it.
Correct. Kind of like as is portrayed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just said to you, this is what I remember you telling me, was he said, you had a great way that it was put, he was saying that you were telling all buyers out there that we got your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're here to say we want to make sure that this moving forward is going to be a good process for all of us, and we feel this is one way to do that for the next buyer, which is it doesn't mean that your house is caving in when we offer the home warranty. It is just to cover what may come up that we don't know, but we do pre-inspections, so we normally most of it. So, yeah.
But I just worry about how consumers receive things, right? Like that's what I think. I think too much about it. But people, when we sell something as is, generally what that actually means is that the seller does not have the finances or the liquidity to make repairs, right? Not that there's necessarily going to be massive problems with the house, but like most of their money is probably held up in the equity of the house, and they just don't have the money. They're already
gone, or they're going to assisted living. There's so many reasons why we say as is. It's only to protect the seller from moving forward without a major stress.
But
and
the problem,
they will cover what needs to be done in some way.
Yeah, but the problem is consumers, they receive that as something's wrong with the house.
Yeah, it's a bad word.
Yeah,
it's a 4-letter word.
So like that was me kind of projecting it onto home warranties as well. So I really appreciate that phone call.
Feedback.
Yeah, I really appreciated that, and it helped me with it to be able to convey it in a better manner. So anytime somebody has something like that, please call in.
Yeah, we love the feedback.
Yeah,
sure.
He left me a message. I called him back right away. I was like, hey, text me some of this stuff, so I want to be able to talk about it on the show. And so I just really, really appreciated it. To get into the stats, so stats are weird. We're in the holiday season. We got a bunch of snow. Although, it wasn't a ton of snow, but we were just kind of consistently getting snow. It's supposed to snow again this week, actually.
If it's going to be cold, it might as well snow. That's all I have to say.
I agree. And, lots of snow is what I would prefer. But
me too.
In Fishers, I had 33 go on the market.
Scott does it because he's moving furniture.
Yeah, you don't want to mess it. What he just said, he ain't doing it. He's got people doing it. He just don't want to hear about them complaining about doing it in the snow. In Fishers, I had 33 go on the market. Me personally, with we have quite a few houses on the market, and we did see a major uptick in showings since Thanksgiving.
We did too.
Yeah.
I was like, where'd this all come from all of
Yeah,
a
where's
sudden?
everybody been? Yeah. And that's like without touching anything. We just started getting showings.
It was kind of crazy because I
Yeah.
thought, boy, we are just not going to have showings until January. When?
That's how it felt,
15th of
yeah.
January, we might start seeing it pick up unless it snows. And all of a sudden, the
It just
floodlights.
picks up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of the 33 in Fisher, 17 of them are still on the market. 2 of them pinned it in a week. Like, that's how few houses actually sell in a week anymore. 18 total pended. Average days on market is 51. The median's 34. There's 226 on the market. In Noblesville, I had 34 go on the market. 13 of them are still there. Only 3 pended within 7 days, but 25 actually pended. Average days on market there is 50 as well, and the median's 31 with 221 days on market. So I do know timelines are taking longer. I was actually talking to Brad, who we actually love to have on here as well, with my board, and like timelines are just taking longer with pendids, and there's contingencies and all this
Have
other
you
stuff.
seen how many are coming back on market?
I have.
Like, that's another floodgate that seems to, I watched a lot of markets, and it just seemed like that floodgate opened this past couple of weeks.
I mean, the couch one that he and I have may be in that situation. But I have some. Like, I have 3 in particular that like I'm going to pull them off market and relist them in March. I've had those conversations, and I started spending some time looking at that and the numbers around it about the week before Thanksgiving, and I was just kind of looking at it. And for us, the carrying cost of that because once I hit 90 days, it resets the counter on it, right? For anybody who doesn't know, agents should obviously know that, but for anybody who's a consumer, like if you're off the market 90 days, it'll reset it. The days on market,
Back to zero.
which is what you want. Spring market will, at a minimum, it'll be a different buyer pool, right? Because, those people don't tend to be in the market right now. And the carrying cost of that mortgage versus the offer you're going to currently get.
The low ball?
Yeah, I mean, I had a house that is on the market. It had been on the market 27 days, and last week somebody tried to offer me $80,000 under list price. I haven't even been on the market a month, and the average days on market, right? Ironically, I sold it 2 days later for
the agents are saying, well, these houses should have sold by now, because they're not doing the
Correct.
stats like we do all the time.
And they don't
And your
know.
stats are showing it's 50 days average.
Yeah.
We're at 2 months.
Yeah.
Easy.
And like I'm
I
like
am
halfway there, right? And like I'm just not worried about it. And then I sold it for very good negotiation. It was a great situation. That's nowhere near that. And so like right now I understand, like I get inventory wise, it's a seller's market. It is absolutely a buyer's market. I don't care what anybody says. And there's a lot of people who've been on the sidelines who are trying to take advantage of that. I super, super support that. I'm glad that they are doing it. As an educated agent, like I just don't have to cave to that by no means. I know what we have. I know what the timelines are, all of that stuff. And we're not desperate. And so I just hope for all agents that they're confident within their timelines and their pricing, that they can advise their sellers accordingly. But I do have 3 that we made decisions to relist them. I mean, I've got one where it's close to a major thoroughfare, and all of a sudden, without all the leaves on the trees, it becomes very, very, it's way more noticeable, right? So I'm like, let's wait till the leaves come back, right?
It's also a seasonal market that
It's a
we've not
seasonal
talked
market.
about we kind of started talking about it last
Yeah.
year, but this is definitely, we saw the brakes hit right before Thanksgiving, and it's going to stay that way till the middle
Yeah.
or end of January. It's just, that's what we've talked about for years and years
Yeah.
and years. We just didn't for 2020 to 2023-ish. So, yes, we should not be seeing a lot of activity right now if we want to look at how the market's always been here
Yeah.
in Indiana, and it's cold already. I know everybody's complaining already how cold it is. But I'm seeing the days on market too. They're starting to go up, but I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
It's December.
It's to be expected.
So we have Carmel, 20 days or 20 houses hit the market, which isn't very many, but that is just after Thanksgiving. Only 2 of those pended. but a total of 19, so we almost lost inventory, all of the inventory. Currently 164 on the market, and their solds in the past 30 days were 39 days on market, whereas these past 7 days, the average was 49. I expect to see that. I'm not concerned about the market. Westfield 17 hit the market. Only 4 of those pended, but a total of 17. Lost inventory in Westfield, completely zeroed out. The average days on market for the past 7 days was 59. The past in the 30 days was 39. So we're just slowing down for December, right? Zionsville, 8 hit the market. Only 2 of those sold, but a total of 7. So we almost lost all inventory. So what that's showing is buyers are out there right now. The older inventory was selling. So you're not going to see the first 7 days, boom, 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 they're all selling. It takes a while, and we're showing you 59, 49. We're looking at almost 2 months. It's normal. So you don't have to take a huge hit on your price at 15 days, whereas you've got some people who think you should. So that's just kind of the information for Carmel, Westfield, and Zionsville. I think we've got a great market still going right now for December.
Yeah, I think so. If you're a buyer, you're in a good spot. If you're a seller, just know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Be educated going into it. So, look at the numbers of what you're trying to accomplish, and look at your end goal of what you're trying to accomplish. Like, are you trying to get every single dollar out of it? Or are you trying to make a move? I don't know. There's just a lot that goes into it. And, I think everybody's kind of like, oh, I want to do both. And I'm like, I will do my best to do both.
Yeah.
But that means I have to list it correctly at the right time.
Pricing is
everything.
Always. It's been from the day I started real estate, I've always been told pricing is the biggest obstacle you have. You either price it right and sell as you should, or you price it wrong and sit. And that's, unless you've got a lot of other problems with the house. But usually if it's not selling, it's a price issue.
You know what we should do? I wonder if Josh is coming back to Indy over the holidays.
I know.
Reach out to him. I'd love to have a conversation with him about some pricing stuff, just because, when you price a house, the price is there. But there's also this argument, like if it's not selling, the market is telling you that the price isn't there. But at the same time, when you're talking about days on market,
those two correlate very much.
They do, but it also doesn't mean that I'm priced wrong or if I'm being impatient. Where's that pivot point of like I'm priced incorrect versus like I'm being impatient? And so like that would be a very fun conversation that not necessarily everybody would want to get into, but I know he would want to get into. That'd be a fun one to have with him. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, Scott, how would they go about getting a hold of you?
They could contact me at my phone number, 317-607-0075. They could also I have a web page, and there's a button on there where they can contact me. Feel free to text me. Email is Hofer, Hofer, at Scott, SCOTT, Hofer, Hofer, Homes, HOMES.com.
I'm really glad we had you on here. I don't know. You and I talk all the time. The irony and all of that is like I've actually only like run into you a couple times,
I know. That's what I don't even know if we'd ever met. We've just been doing it on the phone back and forth, because I know one of the things I want to say is how you've helped me is that we don't have to. You're a well-oiled machine. I kind of know what I need you to do. So I just kind of say, well, here's the old pictures of the listing. If you need to go. You're so seamless to work with. Like, okay,
thank you.
I got it. I'm on it. So thank you so much for coming on with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker. My number is 317-649-5122.
Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group. My cell phone's 317-201-2601.